Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, everybody. My name is James Jackson. Mon nom est James Jackson. Je suis ici comme le représentant pour le CLP, le nouveau Conseil local du patrimoine. It's a privilege to be here tonight. Merci pour votre présence. Si vous êtes d'accord, on va faire la présentation en français. Mais comme vous savez, je suis un anglophone and I'm pretty good in English. So if you have any questions or observations or need any explanations, I'll be more than happy to make the translations. On est ici ce soir pour regarder un dossier qui était présenté à le nouveau comité, le Conseil local de patrimoine, qui était formé en novembre passé. C'était un comité qui va évaluer les dossiers qui sont présentés où on pense que c'est important pour nous d'aviser du monde, de protéger les aspects. Juste pour vous dire, notre mission, c'est de favoriser la connaissance, la protection, la mise en valeur et la transmission du patrimoine culturel, reflet de l'identité d'une société dans l'intérêt public et dans une perspective de développement durable. Elle a également pour objet de favoriser la designation des personnages historiques décédés, d'événements et de lieux historiques. C'est un nouveau comité, comme je dis, qui était formé. Et le premier dossier qui était présenté, c'est une citation pour l'Église unie du Canada à Morin-Heights avec règlement 634-2022, qui était un avis de motion en décembre, le 14 décembre. Et c'était un projet. Notre comité réuni, on avait monté le dossier, on avait étudié le dossier, et grâce à nos membres, et j'aimerais présenter les membres. Il y avait 5 membres, le conseil, M. Peter McLaren, qui était présent, Madame Michel Prévost, qui était membre de l'association historique, qui n'était pas présente, elle était absente. Malheureusement, aussi M. Robert Chatrin, qui n'était pas capable de sortir ce soir à cause des restreintes physiques. Il est aussi membre de l'association historique. Et nous avons avec nous un autre spécialiste, Mme Christiane Lefebvre, qui était un spécialiste dans l'architecture patrimoniale. On avait un grand comité qui a étudié le dossier intensivement et nous recommandons extrêmement que ça c'est vraiment valide d'accepter une citation pour la réglementation de préserver l'Église unie de Morin-Heights. Avec cette présentation, j'aimerais dire que vous avez reçu un résumé en anglais, en français et en anglais. We have both. English and French has given you a brief resume of the project to preserve this building as a patrimonial building. Pour les faits saillants, j'aimerais vous dire qu'il y a plusieurs choses qui étaient importantes. Originellement bâti en 1880, il était passé au feu et c'était reconstruit en 1925. C'était une bâtisse dans le cœur du village qui était une bâtisse qui a représenté la ville. Ce n'est pas juste un culte religieux, mais c'était une composition sobre, mais avec un toit de 2 versants très pentueux. Ça, c'était un des éléments dans les Laurentides qu'on voit souvent, même les granges et les églises, à cause du climat. Pour le déneigement, c'était une chose qui représente notre région en général. Pendant les années qu'il y avait des travaux d'agrandissement, ils ont respecté l'architecture. Et dans les années 50, ils ont fait les éléments d'agrandissement en respect de l'architecture. À l'intérieur, c'est charpente et la fenestration est cohésion, s'il vous plaît, assistez-moi dans cohésion vitraux, très important. C'était fait par une personne très renommée, Guido Nisciali. C'était dans l'époque 1925 que la construction des églises, c'était un élément très important, pas au Québec en général, et on avait profité d'avoir ce monsieur d'intégrer ces éléments dans l'Église qu'on discute aujourd'hui. Plus que ça, c'était un repère historique et une bâtisse identitaire et sociale de la communauté. L'édifice est essentiel dans la préservation du caractère patrimonial de Noël villageois qui constitue le chemin du village. Le lieu de rencontre pour divers organismes communautaires du Morin-Heights. On parle que M. Holgate, Edwin Holgate, qui était un des groupes des 7 au Canada, vraiment renommé, a donné des ateliers pour la peinture, mais plus que ça, il y a plein des choses communautaires qui étaient effectuées, incluant Joyful Noise, la chorale Joyful Noise, mais plus des autres éléments. C'est vraiment un impact très important dans notre communauté et très actif à la même temps. Ça, c'est bref, le résumé, comme vous avez devant vous, l'architecture, les vitres et la portail en pierre, qui était un autre élément important de voir. C'est un élément intéressant et important qui représente nos territoires. Ça, c'est plus ou moins le résumé. Et avec ça, j'aimerais dire que est-ce qu'il y a des questions concernant la bâtisse pour la préservation? Parce que c'était l'Église qui a demandé de reconnaître l'Église et ce n'était pas quelque chose imposé par notre comité. Notre comité est ici pour observer, de recommander. On reste un comité consultatif qui fait les recommandations au conseil. C'est le conseil qui est le dernier mot. Et une des obligations de notre comité, c'est d'avoir une consultation publique pour avoir des questions, des observations, des commentaires. Et vous êtes bienvenus de donner vos opinions présentement. Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui veut poser des questions, des observations?
I don't know if what we spoke about is something to be mentioned here.
It could be, if you wish.
Well, there's one specific bureaucratic concern the church has. Until that is dealt with, we won't be able to formalize this agreement. Other than that, everyone in the town has been great. Monsieur Lepin has been fantastic helping the church. We're very thankful for all of that. There is just the one bureaucratic concern that we will have to speak to perhaps members of the council to clarify. And once that is done, we could formalize this at your convenience.
Could I ask the question?
Yes.
What is this bureaucratic?
In the document given to the church pertaining to all of this, it specifically mentions expropriation of the building by the town without regard to the wishes of the church. It also mentions that the building after expropriation can be sold also regardless of the wishes of the church. That raised concerns with the people who run the church. And until it's clarified that that is a general observation on all buildings and not a specific desire for the church to be possibly seized without our consent, until that is satisfied, the church will not agree to the formalization of this process, even though we asked for it initially.
Well, okay, but I'm not sure exactly how to respond to all that, but I know that municipality has the right to ask, to pass resolutions or bylaws along those lines in order to prepare or prevent development in some areas. Give you an example, for instance, the Girl Guide camp just recently, we gave ourselves the right to first refusal. And the reason we did that is not because we want to take over the Girl Guide camp, but we want to prevent the Girl Guide camp from being taken over by developers. So this is an impediment. Okay, so I think my guess would be, because the church is in the condition that it is, and I don't mean the building, but I mean the congregation, because I'm an Anglican and our church has only got 4 people going to church, so we're in the same boat as you are. We have a library next door. We thought, I'm sure this is what the thinking was, is we thought, okay, if your church closes, okay, if your church closes, we are not going to be closing your church. That is absolutely certain. Absolutely certain. There's no ifs, ands, or ors about it. So we put this kind of clause into the situation so that some developer can't buy it should you close. You have to offer it to us first. That's all it really is. It's not something we're planning on foreclosing. We're going to sell a place out from under you. We're not going to consult you. None of that has any bearing on why we did it. We did it simply because when we think about we're busy trying to reestablish and redevelop the core of the town. Your church is actually, I thought to myself, there's nobody here to listen to us. It's too bad. But
It's on Facebook.
Essentially, the government I don't even know how long ago, decided that municipalities had to have a patrimoine committee. And we had to identify buildings. For many years, I've been on the council for a long time. We've talked about it for a long time, and we've never done it in the past because of what kinds of processes happen following identification. And if we look at places that have historic value, the owners of those properties are faced with a lot more controls and restrictions than a normal everyday person might have. So this has actually been created because the government ordered it, okay, not because the municipality actually was excited about doing it. At least I wasn't. But it's happened and we have to deal with it. And the first building that we're dealing with here is your church, and the reason we're dealing with your church for the first building is because you guys needed to get some official status so you could claim some money from the government of Quebec. Okay? So we are not, under any circumstances, after taking over the United Church and selling it out from under you. So, I mean, whatever that bureaucratic issue is, that's I can speak for the council and tell you that right now.
There's absolutely,
you don't need a little piece of, no, you don't need a little piece of paper. You're not going to get a little piece of paper.
Okay.
What you're going to get is just common sense, that that this municipality has always been well, for as long as I've been around, we listen to what people say. We have the best interest, why we're here is we have the best interest of the town at heart. We're not, a bunch of ogles or moguls from somewhere doing things that people don't like. Well, except for a little bit of sidewalk trouble last week. But essentially, your building, we're doing this as a favor to you. And we put this in because, for the reason I already stated, is that should the building close, we, the municipality, would like to have first option to take over that building.
Well, that is different language than what's.
Well, that's what
in this
it
piece of paper.
amounts to. That's what it amounts to. It's the same thing.
I can understand
So-
that that's what
so-
it amounts to, but that's not what it says.
Well, I don't know what it actually, the wording says, but that's what I'm telling you, is that's why it's there.
Mhm.
But it's not going to be something that we would do out of hand and without consultation.
Is that at those requests, people who requested for us to look at the building
Yeah.
and evaluate it and say, yes, this is worth preserving, it's not at us imposing, okay?
Yeah, and
that-
more than that, when you get right down to it, and you say, okay, now, the United Church has got a historic value. But if you look around the town, you'd say, is anything else around here of any more historic value than the United Church? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. There are many places. I can just think off the top of my head, Oscar Ivel's brother's
Blacksmith shop.
blacksmith shop in Christendale. Been around longer than the church. A lot longer than the church. My house, been around longer than the church. There's a lot of places around here but what happened was the church came to us and said, we need your help to do this.
Yeah. Are we worthy of
So
having
why
this
would we
designation?
then turn around and write
Yeah.
something to
Yeah.
you to say, we're gonna take the building away from you without asking? We wouldn't do that.
No, the town has been great.
Okay, so,
I
but
understand
I
you
think,
began the process, it's just that the language in this piece of
Okay,
paper
but here's-
was a surprise.
here's,
Because it was never spoken of during any of the discussions we had prior
I
to
haven't,
receiving this piece of
to be
paper.
honest with you, I don't know anything about it either. But what I'm saying is that I know what the intent is. And when this meeting closes, this committee will recommend to council that we put the United Church in Morin-Heights on the heritage list. You don't have any say on that. You have no say on that. We will do that. You can't object to it.
Yes, we can.
Well, you can now, and then we cannot do it. And then you won't get, be able to apply for patrimoine
Yes.
grant.
No,
So,
I understand.
so where are we at? Are we going ahead with this, or are we going to not go ahead with this?
Well, that's where, when I spoke to Mr. Lepin just before, it was discussed that potentially someone on the council, specifically on behalf of the council or the mayor, could speak to this issue directly so that it was formalized, so that we understood it clearly, because even now as we're speaking, you speak to an intent, whereas I have language, and the intent you speak of does not match the language in the paper. So right off the bat, there is a bit of a miscommunication.
There's legalese and then there's.
Yes,
Okay,
Exactly.
to address that, our committee, okay, we recommend that it be approved. The final word comes to council.
Yeah.
So that's the next step that if you have other issues to address that maybe we're not addressing here, because it's beyond our capacity, what I'm saying is that as far as we're concerned, if you as a group want to have that status, we are all in favor of it. If there are conditions that you don't accept, then that's to be brought up to council because they have the final word in this.
That's right. I think that's right.
Can I ask when the council would decide on this?
Well, we're gonna make our recommendation, so it'll be available, it'll be passed or adopted at the next
Council
council
meeting.
meeting, which is the second Wednesday in March.
In March.
And in the meantime, go talk to Timmy or whatever you wanna do, but essentially what I will say to you is that from where I sit and when I go to the council meeting, that's how I will act. There is absolutely no malfeasance involved in any of this.
No, not
And-
intentionally,
and,
but you have to understand that dealing with any bureaucracy, there are inherent risks because the bureaucracy does tend to take on a life of its own.
Okay, but when you look at the spirit of the whole thing,
Yes,
you came to us and said, we'd like to get into this thing.
yes.
We, as a newly formed committee, said, okay, the first priority we won't deal with anything else, we'll concentrate on the United Church. So that's what we've done for 4 meetings now.
And you've been great about it.
And as far as we're concerned, we're good with that.
So we're gonna go ahead and recommend.
So
to
if
the
you want
council.
that status,
Yeah.
we're approving it.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
it's approved as far as we're
Now,
concerned.
dotting the i's and crossing the t's, that's legalese that needs to be addressed
And that
fairly
will happen
with
with
the
council.
council. That happens with council.
Okay, so there's nothing final
No.
as to an agreement between the church and the town in this meeting. That will
Said
take
we
place
give
prior
our-
to the next
Oh,
exactly.
council meeting.
Our
Here's the
blessing that.
finality of this whole thing. We're gonna say, we recommend to the council that the council identify this building by resolution as a historic site.
Yeah.
We will then, you will get copies of the minutes, or you'll get copies of the minutes. They will be official documents that then you can turn around and apply for a grant. And whatever else the council has done with you or the church has nothing to do with your application for a grant.
Okay.
You see, when you go ahead, when we do this and the council approves, then you, as a church, apply to patrimoine. Because we've given you a status so that you can act that way.
Yeah.
That's what we've done, and that's how it's all gonna work. And when it's all over and done with, it's up to you to apply and up to you to do the homework and get the money or whatever. And if you don't like what we've written you in the meantime, well, that's really actually none of our business. You know?
Well, I suppose it is a town document, it's not from this committee. So I suppose.
The town we will give a recommendation. And the recommendation, if it's adopted by council, then your church, your building will become the first historic site in Morin-Heights.
It'll have heritage,
It'll be the first
Status.
identified building.
Yeah. and
As
where you go
probably
with
as
that,
Yeah, and then after
that's
that, we're
that's
out
up
of
to
it,
you.
on
Yeah.
that point.
We just feel it's worthy.
Yeah,
Well, we certainly appreciate that, and I hope you don't take it personally that I'm putting all of this on you.
No.
It's just that it was a bit of a surprise, and there are some people who wanted it clarified.
And that's fair. And that's what public consultation is all about.
Here we are.
There you go. So the next step is to bring up those issues with council. As far as we're concerned, it meets our grille d'evaluation, our criteria as being a patrimonial building. And that's basically what we're assigned to do.
Well, thank you.
and I just add one more thing about that. I wasn't at the last meeting, but I've read the correspondence that came in as a result of that, and some of the documentation here about the windows, for instance, I had no idea. Somebody found that out, one of our
Right over
committee.
here.
These people,
And
we are
I was
very
in-
Expert.
I was
we are
in-
very fortunate, actually, I think, to have some of these ladies and members that are new Morin-Heightsers. They're not people that've been here like me.
You call me new.
No, I'm not talking about you.
We're not the lady.
Yeah, you're not a lady. We're very fortunate because we have people with really serious qualifications to look into this. And one of the byproducts of that is that we found out that this guy who did the windows, which I never knew, is it like an important person in Quebec just all by himself and has done this all over, I think,
And
Canada.
there is some in the Trinity.
Oh, okay, so you see,
Yeah.
this is all
There is
stuff,
also-
that's because of people like this.
And this is
who know
rare.
this stuff.
This is
You see,
rare in the.
but we don't know
Russian-
this. We're very fortunate to have people like that, like this young lady here.
No, I think
So-
Lucille and the church expressed their thanks.
Anyway, that's it. Is there anything else we can do?
I think
Where's
that-
Lucille? How come she's not here? I said to you
Well,
tonight, I said, I don't
fine.
expect anybody but Lucille.
She thought I might be able to,
Oh.
stand up to the bureaucracy a
Please.
little more effectively.
So if there's no more comments or questions, I will ask that the assembly be closed. Merci pour votre présence et oui, merci beaucoup.